This is the show that talks footy and only footy. We'll review, preview and analyse the crucial moments from the weekend. We'll also look ahead to round 11. Welcome to the new NRL Tactics. We're live and we're now playing the hour. That includes all the ins and outs of every team for this weekend's round of footy. We'll have an in-depth chat with New South Wales coach Craig Bellamy and get some indication of how the Blues will line up for Origin 1. Joining me, Stuart Raper and Brett Kimmorley. Now, Stuart, you work with the referees. It's been a tough weekend.
It has been a tough week, all because of one call. Obviously, on the Friday night, Bulldogs and Dragons. The wrong call. We've admitted the mistake, and we've.
Stephen Clark has been dropped this week.
Yeah, well, we like to call it rested. I think
he's been dropped. He's been sacked. He's not working.
Okay, he has been dumped. He has been dropped. Yeah.
There you go. Now, Brett, as a club, how have the last couple of days been from the disappointment?
Yeah, it was disappointing. Obviously, we thought it was a try. We take great confidence out of the fact that we were 14-0 down. We technically won the game. We didn't get the points, but we did win the game. So, we got confidence out of that, but it's a big game for us this weekend. We play Melbourne on the Central Coast on Saturday night. You
watch yourself tonight, otherwise we'll send you for 10 minutes. And it wouldn't be the first time this weekend, little fella. Let's go back to Friday and little Noddy sent to the corner.
What about they've come down very heavy after 10 weeks, and suddenly it's a Simbinathon. I was harshly dealt with. I did nothing wrong.
Halfbacks never do anything wrong.
They never do anything wrong.
I'm going to ask you, Stuart. Yep. For 9 weeks, at nauseam and at great pain, we've heard referees call out captains and say, tell your troops, fix the problem or I'll do something about it, and we got sick of it. All of a sudden, a ton of sin bins.
Well, I think Robert sent the message out to the referees that we just can't continue giving idle threats. Players weren't listening. There was a number of penalties in the games in the last 2 weeks, and I think we needed to bring that penalty count down and not have idle threats.
I agree. OK, before we get into it, results from the weekend. Friday night, and the winners were the Broncos and the Dragons. 2 games on Saturday, with the Knights continuing their winning ways. That's 3 in a row now. So too have the Panthers with their victory over the Sharks. Sunday, the Cowboys were impressive late in Auckland. Manly were too good for the Eels, while the Rabbitohs stole one late over the Tigers. Last night, Heritage Round finished with Melbourne victorious over Canberra by 40 points. I enjoyed the old jerseys on the weekend, some great local derbies too. Before we kick into it, boys, let's take a peek at the ladder and see how it stands after 10 completed rounds. And there are 4 sides on 14 points. They're in order.
Andy, aren't we on 18? Oh, no, that's right.
Oh, here we go. It started already. OK, for the sake of the exercise, 4 on 14 and Noddy can live in fantasy land. On differential, Dogs, Knights, Dragons, Broncos, the Storm move into 5th spot with 12 points shared by 3 sides. Oh, this is live. This could be anything with Kimmorley tonight. Out of the 8 of the Cowboys and the Tigers on 10, the Warriors on 9, and a further point behind are the Eagles and the Eels. Hard work already for the 3 remaining clubs. They are the Raiders, the Roosters and the Sharks. Let's get into the footy. We start with Friday's performance from the Dragons, in particular their left-hand side. Now, offensively, they use it well. They use it often, Brett.
Yeah, as you can see here, they have three guys lined up here and 2 more edge, but it's Ben Horby, Ben Creagh and Darius Boyd, which is their 3 go-to men. Effectively,
they have got you covered and confused.
Yeah, I'm certainly isolated here. I just rely on getting help from the inside. My man is Ben Creagh, but obviously, big bloke on little bloke, me going backwards, gets a quick play the ball, which leads maybe to Wayman getting over the line.
And it would have been part of their game plan to run at you. Obviously, being the pivotal player in the side, they'll want to work you over and get you fatigued, as they've tried to do it here again on that left side.
I think it's the same play, but they just happen to do it a bit wider. So we're more, or I'm probably more under pressure because I have a bigger area to cover.
We've identified 3 decoy runners, attracting far too many defenders and pushing the inside defenders out. Creates the hole.
It does create the hole, and what it did, because the ball went past so many defenders, we get a bit isolated on the edge. Do we come in? Do we go out? And I just got stuck. Ben Creagh was my inside shoulder, and I had Darius Boyd out wide, and they just executed it really well.
You're not the first small bloke he's done that this year either. He's run over a few smaller players.
OK, to the discussion point, the final no try as it was ruled. Jamie Soward was obstructed. We all agree on that, but could have he actually made the tackle, Stuart? Was he too far away regardless.
I honestly don't think he would have, and I think he realised that in a split second. His peripherals picked up eastward just on the outside, thought he'd go for a break. You can see him there. He puts his arm out and thinks, oh, I might play for this, or I might get an obstruction. He's gone for break. They all appealed, and the referee said, let's check it.
Late question from our earlier conversation about video refs. What do video refs do on a weekend off? When they get relegated, where does a video ref go?
Yeah, well,
Lounge?
there is no reserve grade or under 20s to go to. A bit of soul searching.
Yeah, there you go. OK, let's take a different look at it. Let's go 3D virtual. It's broken field footy. In this position, Brett, defensively, should everyone rush the ball carrier or hold position?
Yeah, I think they should rush, but I think, originally the kick was in the corner and then got passed and then there was an offload, so it was a bit unscheduled play, and that's why I think all the Dragons are over that side of the field. Yeah. I still think that these players, Luke Patton takes this line, and we've obviously got a lot of guys out here, but I think around this area, these guys, him for example, should go really hard at Luke Patton.
Yeah, I don't think Wayne Bennett will be really happy with their kick chase with a minute and a half to go. A poor kick, you guys are in a good position and ready to attack, and that's what they expected. Offload came, and
There's
Patton...
the incident. There is the incident. Hand on the back.
Is that enough for an obstruction?
Nah.
Exactly.
All good. All is fair in love and war. As you can see, Wendell Saylor completely outmanned, outnumbered on the outside as well.
He still had a fair bit to do, Luke Patton. He beats the fullback pretty well, bumps him off, gets the right hand out and offloads, and obviously Jamal, and we celebrate thinking, yeah, hey, we've won the game. OK, a change of games. Newcastle now with 3 successive wins and a share of the competition lead. But technically, what are they doing well in breaking down their offence, Stuart? In your opinion, what's evident?
Well, the way that they're getting a roll on and the way that they're coming out of dummy half, they've got some great dummy half runners. Not only the guys, but when Gidley gets in there, they get a quick play the ball through that roll on, isolate the one marker that's out of play. Willie Mason, he's gone. He's too slow. He can't get to Gidley. There are 8 defenders there in Nate Miles is still retreating. Too easy for Gidley, too much speed and great vision. They do it really well, and obviously, they all get on board. Once they see a dummy half scooter go, they all push up, they all support. And that's what they're doing really well. They're grinding football games, but as you can see here, all these players, all these Newcastle players here on board, getting ready to push up with Kurt Gidley, but these players here for the Roosters, all out of position. That is the goal. Get behind them. This area here, just behind them, called the ditch area, just in behind the ruck. It is a ditch area, and this one when you see Hilda, who's playing lock, be rotation with De Gois. Matty Hilda played a bit of 9 for me at Cronulla and with Brett, and he's a smart player, and he's got skill. They've all got skill in Newcastle. They're actually starting to string some passes together. Yeah. So you think, oh, OK, it's not just 3 hit-ups for a set play. It's let's be alert on everything. And because they've got skill, confidence, and pace, it's very hard to defend. And getting that quick play of the ball helps. You need that quick play of the ball to get out. OK, South Sydney home in a thriller Sunday against the Tigers. The Rabbitohs without playmaker John Sutton, yet still very effective in specific areas. We look at the Bow champion try in this example. It was sort of like a bit of footy that was not that well planned, a bit erratic, but look at the West Tigers defenders. The spacing is very, very poor. You want from the black dot out five defenders. Five gives There's you great far spaces. Too many on this side of the field, and just the 4 from playing black out. But to look at the South Sydney shape, it's pretty good shape too. And as the play comes back behind the ruck, they have to readjust, and they have an overlap on them. At the end of the day, it becomes a 2-on-2, and Champion, who just runs a great line, just comes back against the edge. The sliding defence, because they're sliding too hard, have to tackle on the inside shoulder. Yeah, it's a great direct run, and that's what they'll get this week when they go up against Brisbane. Yep. Chris Sandow in a little bit of doubt. We'll go into South Sydney later. No Sutton, no Sandow. Direction goes. Yeah, well, they've still got Craig Wing, but I think he's still an instinct player. He's not a player that's going to organise and lead them around. A lot of pressure now, I think, goes back on Isaac Luke to become a bit of a talker and give the side some structure. OK, we're called NRL Tactics. This wasn't a tactic, nor was it a game plan. This is opportunistic. It's brilliant. It's Nathan Merritt's field goal with just seconds left on the clock. Stewie, the side actually worked away from the post and made it harder. They did. Well, it went to Wing. He tried to kick the field goal before the play before that. They got to them, the pressure on. Nathan coming off the wing. When I had him at Cronulla, he kicked a 60-metre goal from the line dropout out on the full. So he can reef a ball. He's done it before, but Accuracy, superb.
Player mindset, winning a close game. In years past, and I think it's fair to say with respect, Souths have not won those games.
No, they haven't. And it's come with getting some experienced players on board. Craig Wing's got experience. I think Michael Crocker had a little bit of, they got confidence. He's arrived. I know he only played one game, but he's arrived and he did it in Melbourne, he did it at the Roosters. Something he creates, a bit of an aura about him, confidence.
Every match, every team and every change. That's coming up on our first live edition of Tactics. Also, Craig Bellamy and how he's building the Blues. But as we go to the break, the Bundy Rum NRL Fantasy Dream Team of the Week. And this is how they line up in Fantasyland for round 10, and 10 teams are represented. The highest scoring outside backs got amongst the tries at the weekend. They are Taniela Tuiaki, Billy Slater and the Wolfman David Williams. The inside backs are again Israel Folau, Kirk Gidley and also Jared Hayne. Jonathan Thurston is in form on the field and in Fantasyland. The back rowers are Anthony Tupou, Zeb Taya and cowboy Luke O'Donnell. Robbie Farah can't remember the game, but he's the hooker. And the front rowers are Ben Hannant and a walking apartment block, Michael Wayman. That is the Bundy Rum NRL Fantasy Dream Team of the Week for round 10. Three in a row for those up north. Welcome back to NRL Tactics. Origin sides are selected next week, and let's face it, most of us can predict the majority of the Queensland side already. Not so the Blues. The selectors and the coach have plenty of hands in the air asking for selection, but how many are demanding selection? Let's have a look at the 40-man squad chosen a couple of weeks ago. And in preempting what we'll talk about shortly, we'll break it down into players left side, right side, centre. Stuart, looking at left side, what stands out?
Well, it's obviously the strength of numbers. There is a lot of players that can play predominantly that left. Guys like Ben Creagh, Tupou, who have dominated their left side this year, will be in the frame, I would say.
Yeah, and I think, the first thing, or what I really noticed about something I heard from Laurie the other week was that they want to see blokes be able to play left, right, middle, and be able to play a little bit of everywhere. So, obviously, a lot more players on the left than there is on the right. So, if you're a right edge player, does that mean you automatically get picked?
Ben Creagh, Michael Jennings, both played opposite side in City Country. I think a huge head start for those two.
I think for them two, they get in front a little bit, and obviously you can see the middle here. Obviously Brett Stewart won't play, so I think Kirk Gidley will definitely be a centre. A lot of forwards, Gallen, Tongue and some other players, they can play middle.
What did you say? Gidley will be a centre?
No, Gidley will play
in the centre.
In the centre.
I thought you were losing it. Okay. Josh Morris, Ben Cross, Chris Lawrence, Brett Stewart, 4 players immediately taken out due to injury, so we're down to 36. Mitchell Pearce is not figuring. He didn't play City Country, so we're down to 35.
Yeah, well, the squad is going to be the numbers there that could be utilised throughout the 3 series.
Yep.
I think probably this first selection criteria for the first game is so important to which direction that Bellamy will want to go, especially with his left and right.
It's more than just selecting the form 17 or the best 17. It's about balance. I sat down with Coach Craig Bellamy and started by asking him about left side and right side players and the fact left seems to dominate.
Oh, it is a little bit of a concern, but again, it's important that we we have a good balance there. You see some players that can play on both sides. So there's a couple there on that right side that I think would probably handle the left side okay. But there's a couple there that they'd set like playing on the right side, and a couple on the left side that basically that's all they've played. So I don't want to sort of the guys that are not comfortable playing on the other side. I don't particularly want to do that, but there is some guys that can play both sides. So we'll have a look at that. at the end of the day, we want our best 17 players out there, but we want guys that are comfortable in the positions that they're playing. So the team will gel. But if I've got a guy that's that can only play on the right side, well, and he's not keen on playing the left side, well, we'll make those adjustments. But at the end of the day, it's getting the right balance and the right mix. And sometimes you look at combinations as well. If players are playing at the same club, or they've played together in the last 2 or 3 years at a club, and then one of them's gone to another club. So that's another thing that you have a bit of a look at as well.
OK, Craig Bellamy there, answering a few questions. Now, we had in that centre third of the field Paul Gallen, Alan Tongue and Luke Lewis. Effectively, the three can play anywhere.
They can play both sides, but I think Tongue and Gallen can also play it tough down the middle.
Yeah.
Tongue can give you a 9 rotation as well, which gives you a bit of flexibility if you need. Lewis probably is a bit more of a floater on the fringe and is an edge runner. So it's all about the mix that Bellamy wants and the way that he wants his pivots and the way that they're going to play.
The Maroons have natural combinations, many in key areas. Nothing, though, really stands out for New South Wales, or does it?
Well, there's probably a couple of combinations there. I think Ennis and Wallace played together last year. So, but again, as you say, there's nothing obvious there or anything long term. But you'd like to think players that are playing in those positions, they're supposed to be the brains of the outfit. So you'd like to think that they could build their combinations pretty quickly. And like I say, I think. The way the game is today, with so much, they're always, the games are all on TV at some stage. I think the players watching other teams, that they've got an idea how different players play. So I think those combinations can come together a little bit quickly than sometimes than the edge combinations.
Ennis and Wallace, 9 and 7, a brief history together as a combination.
And a very good history too. Brisbane had a great year last year, so that's a quick combination. And I think another combination is Mullen, Gidley. I've got Mullen in my side, so I think you've got 9, 7, 6, 1 that have all got some sort of combination together. Very important for New South Wales to get that 7, 6, 1, 9 combination going quickly.
OK, you look at that combination. On the other side of the argument, I guess you could say, you do want a left foot and a right foot general play kicker. Thurston and Smith and Lockyer have been so successful for Queensland. That would mean Robbie Farah at 9. And at 7, Peter Wallace.
Well, that's the option, and that's what Bellamy has to weigh up. With Farah, he's a lot more creative, so he can also run the football a la Cameron Smith, and it just gives you that left foot option. That's why, personally, I've gone for someone like Farah because I think it just breaks up our 9 football from the pivots.
Most, if not all, NRL sides have a 4 left, 4 right and 4 central player structure in place, or a pretty close derivative of it. In a side without natural combination, does this system work, or is Origin the perfect arena to look outside of the normal?
Yeah, it's probably going to be that 4-4-4, as you say, but there'll obviously be changes throughout the game. When obviously you probably expect most of your backs to play at 80 minutes, but certainly a couple of your edge forwards probably don't get 80 minutes out. There is a couple there that that do play 80 minutes consistently for their clubs, but at the same time, Origin's a little bit faster pace, a little bit more hectic. So obviously there is some that can get through that 80 minutes, but there's a few that won't. So again, it's going to change at some stage throughout the game.
Noddy, thoughts on what you just heard?
Yeah, I've played Origin before, and the pace of it is that incredibly fast. Set plays generally go out the window.
Yep.
Blokes have got to play off the cuff. You've got to have the ability just to push up and play whatever's created. So I don't know if it's going to be too much set plays, too much left, right, middle. Play what's in front of you. If you get a chance, you've got to take it. I think that's what Queensland do so well.
Agree or disagree?
Well, I agree to a certain way, but I think the 4-4-4 will be their structure defensively. Definitely that'll give them some structure, and if they get any changeovers, it'll stay like that. But I agree with Noddy as in regards to the reactive type of football that you need to play against Queensland.
Noddy, you're first up. Give us your New South Wales team. More importantly, tell us why.
Yeah, well, obviously this is the team I've come up with. Gidley, I think, has to play fullback. Floats around like he can do at Newcastle. McManus has been really good. I think give him a chance, see what he's got. I'm going for Jennings in the centres. We need to score points. He has got some pace. Monahan for his catching ability, and also, he's a good player. Jared Haynes back and forth. I've gone for Mullen, left foot combination with Wallace, and also the fact
also that combination.
you know, they've got 6 and 1 together, and my halfback is Wallace, and I'll put McInnes at 9 because of combinations. Ben Cray has played his way into the side. Front rowers, I'm still a bit iffy on how we're going to go against Petro and Price was so good.
Luke Lewis for that utility value.
Yeah.
Many suggest it's him versus Craig Wynn for that number 17 spot.
I think so, yeah. And Craig Wing has done a wonderful job this year to get back in that mould. He had it for probably 5 years. He was the first guy ever picked for versatility. But, you know, Luke Lewis is doing very well. He can play a bit like a forward and a big guy, but also can play probably 5'8", centre and wing still because he's got the skill.
You only had 3 props. Have you made a mistake, or do you think you only need 3?
No, I think we've got to play the game up tempo and really fast. I don't think we want to get in an arm wrestle with Queensland. I think we want to use a bit of pace, some ball playing ability, and just try and play it really fast and catch Queensland out around the edges.
No arm wrestling with little guns like that. OK, Stuart, fire away. Give us your 17. And again, why have you chosen them this way?
Well, I went a bit different from Noddy. I've obviously gone Gidley at fullback too. I think he's the form fullback. Monaghan on the wing. I think we need to match Folau a little bit with kick to kick. I think Lyon, Cooper, very good attacking and defensive centres. David Williams playing great. I've gone for Campuzzi. I know he probably hasn't been playing great for the Raiders. I just think we need that X factor that can do something special. Wallace, I've gone for Kite and Perry up front. I've got Bailey and Wayman on the bench. I was going to match the front rowers, Petro and obviously Price. I think we needed that something coming off the bench like Bailey and Wayman really ripping in. I've got Jared Hayne there, probably to go to fullback and use Gidley in around that utility role.
OK, both of you have had Ben Cray and no Anthony Watmo. Watmo was in the national side, reasoning there?
I just think Ben Cray has just been the form back rower, one of the form back rowers, and I think he just gives us that punch, that through the line. We saw there before, trying to run over Brett. Yeah. He's just so dominant in the way he runs the football.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't think of reasons why I've taken guys out, but I'm trying to give reasons why guys can get a start. So we need to look outside the norm. He probably fits the balance a lot better, and we need to do something. We need to win this series. So I think the first game in this series is really important. Win it in Melbourne, you're a good chance to win the series.
All the team news next, but as we go to the break, having just spoken combinations, we ask some of Fox Sports commentators their opinion on the most important 2-player combination in a footy side.
2 players, yeah, they do make a difference, but it's when you got the 3rd and the 4th player that really make a difference to the side. So Wallace on the lock here, onto Hodges and Hunt at the back. It's a little bit harder to defend. Cameron Smith onto Billy Slater or Cooper Cronk with Inglis hitting the hole and Billy Slater at the back. That's very hard to defend. But 1 or 2 players, you can tend to defend it. But when they got the 3rd and the 4th, that's really hard to defend.
Lockyer, they're going to attack on the last. Look at them go! Look at them go! Hodges back to Lockyer. On the hunt! Superstar to megastar to superstar! Sensational!
7 and 9, I think. The control of the ruck. And the 7 controlling the outside guys, plus also backing up the big fellas, and 9 jumping out of dummy. I think they're probably the two most vital positions.
I think the Lockyer-Carmichael Hunt combination at Brisbane is extremely important because they do come up, they do produce so many tries. In other places, quite often it's the halfback and hooker, whereas at Melbourne, I'd tend to think it's your hooker and fullback. With Billy Slater's combination late in each half with Cameron Smith is extremely important. So I don't think there's particularly any more important combination than others. It just depends on which team you're looking at.
Only a metre away from the line. Smith with a little kick. Too deep, is it? No! How can it be too deep when Billy Slater's there?
Well, without a doubt, it's the 2 players that touch the ball more than anybody else. Your dummy half and your halfback. They're the ones who, in essence, control the ebb and flow of the game, and they're the 2 who really need to have almost a psychic understanding of each other's minds to be truly effective.
A grubber ahead, and Trent Barrett scores on return.
Yeah, try of the week, another cracker. It's time now to get into the sides for this weekend. All 16 lineups have been named. There's a ton of forced changes, but more importantly, unforced changes. We'll try and figure out why. We start with the Parramatta Eels and the South Sydney Rabbitohs this Friday night, ANZ Stadium, an Eels home game. Simply, Eels are in all sorts. Out, Chris Keating with a jaw, Felipe Mateo, a torn bicep, Ben Smith, Wella Haraki, question mark over Nathan Kalis.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of experience and all their main players out. Robson will come in, obviously a lot of responsibility on the halfback. Mortimer on the bench.
Yeah.
Two inexperienced guys getting thrown in when they've got all their stars out. It's a big ask.
OK, Jeff Robson, he has been tried there already this year, coming back into 7. Joel Reddy has been named at 6.
I can't see Reddy playing at 6. It might be a bit of a smother. They might move him out. Look to utilise Robson, dictating the play around that 7, have more of a running play, maybe play as Lock Lowry out there, use it more as a running, use it off the pivot. They need to be more direct. They just haven't been direct all year. They need to get direct.
5 hit-ups and a kick to the corner and see if we can somehow grind out a victory.
OK, Scott Geddes has been added to Jason Taylor's squad. Let's talk Jared Hayne, who once again has been named at fullback. Will he have to absorb more responsibility again this week? And if so, without some senior players, does it detract from his football? Because he's been great.
I hope he just gets free rein. I hope he gets a lot more ball and keeps his involvement going. You don't want to see Jared Hayne take responsibility. This is a strength. Pop up, Jared. Be wherever you wanted to be and have some fun. But there's no responsibility, mate. Play your natural game.
At the beginning of the year, he was thrust into the 6th role. He had to look at organising. He had to look at kicking game. Too much to put on a player with his instinct of the game. And proves this instinct here. When he gets back into a position, eyes off the goalpost. He knew where he was kicking here. And that's what the great thing about Jared Hayne can be. And that's what Daniel Anderson wants to do. And I'm sure he will not try to bonker him down on any other plays.
I can understand why Daniel Anderson experimented with Hayne at 6, because the Eels were struggling. Yeah. It didn't work, and it took a couple of weeks to swallow, but putting him back to 1, a mark for swallowing the pride for the new coach.
It is. I think it's being smart. Obviously, he's a new coach as well, so he had to evaluate his combinations and the way that his side played and the way that they ticked. And I think once he got to know Jared Hayne, probably his personality and the way he played, he utilised that the best way he thought.
From the silky skills of Jared Hayne to the sheer brutality of Michael Crocker, who returned to the football field in this game against South Sydney at the weekend. And we say sheer brutality, but there's a lot more to his footy game.
There's a lot of footy. He's a very smart footballer, Michael Crocker. Got a good step, changes his angle, relate at the defensive line, and wins most play the balls. Quick play the balls, wins the play the balls, good support runner. Just knows how to get himself around a football field. Very experienced. I think it's been a wonderful buy for South Sydney. He'll get him on a little run, and they'll win more games. Chris
Sandow, halfback, has been named, in severe doubt with a hand injury. Already know John Sutton. Are they going to lack direction?
I think they will. Isaac Luke now plays a bigger part for only a young guy with a little bit of experience, and not a lot. Craig Wing isn't that organising type of player. Yep. He's, again, another instinctive player, more a running player. So they could struggle a bit there. I think Michael Crocker will take a bigger role in getting the forwards in an organisational ability.
Also Friday, it's the West Tigers and the Brisbane Broncos, the game at Campbelltown Stadium. Privately, some serious concerns Robbie Farah won't play after suffering a severe concussion at the weekend. Do you risk him?
Not if he's serious. Obviously, he gets targeted a lot. He makes a lot of tackles. He's in the middle of the ruck. Players will run him because they know how dangerous he is in attack. They want to fatigue him. If they're running at him...
One sec. Can I interrupt?
Yeah?
Name on screen at the moment. It is true. John Skandalis returns to first grade, named in the starting side. There's hope for you old blokes yet.
Well, yeah, that's right. I've played against him a long time ago, and he was a very
in the
proud
60s,
Western Suburbs player.
Yes.
Back at Campbelltown, I think this game, isn't it? If I can get it correct.
It certainly is.
10-year anniversary of the West Tigers. Big night for Skandalis.
Let's look at the Broncos. Hodges, Gorrell, Taylor and Maguire back in. Now, Hodges back in on that right side with Israel Folau. Left-hand side defensively has been an issue this year for the West Tigers, and Bo Champion exposed that on the weekend. They are going to have to tighten that defence completely to eliminate or try and eliminate Hodges Folau.
Well, they certainly are. They do compress a bit, the Tigers, because they're smaller. They need to make those tackles. They get tighter. They need to make sure one-on-one they're making their tackles.
A specky one from Bo Champion right here, who is playing some pretty attractive football at South Sydney. But is there any better at finding the line than Big Izzy?
15 metres out. Here comes Israel. Wins under it. Israel flies. Israel Folau goes all the way. Look out. Here comes Israel on his birthday. The attack from Lockyer. Jim Lockyer has set it up for Israel Folau. What a night for Israel.
Top try scorers, let's have a look. After 10 rounds, and it is Big Israel. 10 tries on 8, Tuiaki and Winterstein, along with Jamie Lyon, and a plethora on 7, including Hayne, Morris Goodwin, Talanoa and Slater. Now, game 1 on Super Saturday is the Cronulla Sharks at home to neighbours St George Illawarra. Sharkies fans, your chance to help your club that is battling. Get out there at the weekend. Now, Ricky Stuart made 4 big changes to his side for their match against Penrith. No changes this week, but Noddy, what Ricky does have at his disposal is a lot of experience playing New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, that's right. You know, obviously there was Brett Seymour too, who didn't play last week, so I think he might be back in the picture. Corey Hughes didn't play last week, so they're getting close. They nearly won on the weekend. That was as close as I've seen them come to winning the football game. They were back to what they had last year. You know, very tough. Tupu was outstanding. Local derby. If they're going to get up for a game, this is certainly a game they're going to rise for. And good news for the Dragons today. Their opponents re-signing Dean Young for a further 3 years. A great history, a great rivalry, some great memories between these two. This is the last time they met at Toyota Stadium.
Kicking for Morris. Brett Morrison is chasing and wins the race. Giving it off to Soward. Here's Young linking up with Hornby. Good chance here for Josh Morrison and away. He got away from Pomeroy. Now Kimmorley, second man ball for Seymour. Gets a ball out the back. Carney away to Cadell. A circus pass. Kimmorley on his outside now. Grubbers in behind them again. Douglas is there. He plays it. So does Kimmorley, who reached out for the line to pick it up. One more play. Kimmorley's there again. He tries once again, and he kicks the field goal. And the Sharks have produced a miracle.
Smiling little fella there, well done.
Some good times.
Yeah, now the Sharks wish they were finishing games in that style at the moment. Nothing going their way. Mistakes, errors, incomplete movements and at crucial times. We saw another couple of illustrations on the weekend. They should have led 18-0 against the Panthers at half-time.
They should have. They made a number of breaks throughout the game, and it was a lot to do with the way that their structured play. They were running good lines, but they just lacked that finishing ability. Obviously they are. They're missing Brett Carney. They're missing his speed. They're missing his support play. But they need to find something, and they made, as we just continue to see, a number of breaks.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you start losing games, you start thinking, I'll solve this problem myself. I'll try really hard. I'll get us out of this problem. So a lot of tries were created there, but just didn't look up, didn't look for support. No. It's like they got the blinkers on, just focus on themselves. So they're getting closer, and obviously some good football still in the team.
Are the Dragons perhaps vulnerable down that centre corridor? Certainly the Bulldogs thought so, and maybe it's worth having a look at for the Sharkies because you persisted in what you did here, Noddy.
Yeah, that's right. We certainly had a game plan to go through the middle. We identified, and obviously on this occasion, Bo Scott gets a little bit caught up, but we identified that we thought their edge defenders, we thought their edge defenders in their middle always got away from each other, and as you can see, you know, the hole that Jamal Itras ends up going through, gets ruled no try because of a knock on. Big, strong bloke. Hopefully he can run like that more often and run over blokes because he's huge. But they just get separated.
Identified Big Mick Wayman here, and Michael Ennis operating to his inside shoulder, and boys on the outside just engaging his interest on the outside.
He did. We did it so well. It's a pet play we had. And Wayman was obviously a guy we worked at. I thought this was Ben Roberts' best game all year for us. He took him on in the middle, got out of dummy half, used his strength and his running game. And what happens is when you get behind their markers, their A's are really loose. Very similar to what we saw from the Roosters. You know, a little bit earlier.
Now, Brett, you spent several years at the Sharks. You know them better than most. And with the help of the local under-16As at De La Salle, here's Pet Plays with Noddy.
For the remainder of the season, we're going to have a look at some tactics, some set plays that some sides like to go to. Tonight, we're going to have a look at a try that the Cronulla Sharks score. Involves the dummy half, the halfback and the fullback, all working over roughly the same players, and the try is generally scored through the middle of the ruck.
The T's and dotting the I's, icing on the cake, the whole box and dice. Great Cronulla try.
Okay, let's have a look at this set play. Let's see why it works. Welcome today, the De La Salle Under-16 Footy Club. Thanks, boys, for joining us. How are we all going? Good, thank you. Set play that you guys should know. Cronulla scored in the semi-final last year to beat Canberra. So what it is, dummy half jumps out of dummy half, engages the front rower who's generally at marker, passes to the halfback who drags the first defender out, and generally a guy with a bit of pace who's your fullback, and in this case it's Brett Carney, goes straight through the middle, ends up scoring the try. Okay guys, let's go put all these moves in play. Let's go see how we go. Let's go out in the park. Okay, Tommy's going to be Isaac de Gois. Rory's going to be Brett Kimmorley and myself. CEO's going to be Brett Carney. Let's put the play to work, boys. Engage the marker, halfback drags out. We have Brett Carney through the middle, try.
Noddy there with the under-16s, and most of them were taller than you.
That's right, they all were bigger than me, actually. It was good fun.
Now from the Shire, Super Saturday moves to Gosford. It is a beauty. It's the Bulldogs and the Storm. First versus fifth on the competition ladder, both playing exciting, energetic brands of footy.
They are, and the way that the Storm played last night, it just showed a little bit of sign of what they've been doing the last couple of years, and the way that they dominated the Raiders was just outstanding.
No Jared Hickey, but Yolene Gordon and big Johnny Kite back into the squad.
Yeah, that's right. A couple of changes. I think Jared will just go back to get some football time. You know, it makes for a great game. The fact that the Storm are now back in form, it's a great test for us. We were pretty good again on the weekend. Our fans, hopefully, travelling to Blue Tongue Stadium, great clash. Look forward to it being a good night.
Let's take a look at the percentages, the maths that matter, the strengths and weaknesses of the two sides. Look at the Bulldogs first. Red, defensive, green, offensive. You are scoring 46% of your tries left-hand side of the field. Should be no surprise. Better passing right to left. You are conceding most of your tries down the guts. Now we roll over and have a look at the Storm. The maths are pretty similar.
Well, it makes for a good game,
doesn't it?
Where we struggle, they score.
And where
they struggle, we score. So let's hope it stays that way. It'll be about 54-52. With the best game of football we've seen, and I'm taking these stats at training tomorrow, so this will be a really good show tonight.
Question, have you been working on your marker defence this week, or will you?
We will. We'll certainly. We had today off, so we'll go into training tomorrow, and our tip sheet will be, you know, Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk.
Yep.
It's all that in the middle, and I think Blair's a big part of that too. He's got a great,
his nose through.
Puts his nose through, got one hand always over the top, offload and that, so it'll be a very hard night for us, but, you know, it'll be a good benchmark to see where we are as a club at this time in the moment.
Adam Blair, surprise packet so far of the year, and I'm not saying he was bad last year, but just improved out of sight and got plenty of football before and into the line.
Yeah, I have never noticed that in his game as much as I have this year, that the ability he's got. And it's noticeable that all the Melbourne forwards, you said it in the call last night, they're utilising the ball. Johnson's passing before the line. There's a lot more pass in their forward game.
4 games down, 4 remain on NRL Tactics as we go through the side's name for this weekend's round of footy. As we go to the break, a look at the new top point scorer for the season. It is Jonathan Thurston.
Right in front of the horse, on the last. Thurston, the danger man, the step-offs, too easy. He's a dead-set genius. And he has got it. What can he do? He's a dead-set freak. He's Jonathan Thurston.
Welcome back to the new NRL Tactics as we continue our look at the teams for this weekend. Super Saturday's nightcap is the Penrith Panthers and the Sydney Roosters. The Panthers have strung together 3 successive wins. The Roosters have slumped to 5 losses in their last 6, but the Panthers a couple of positional changes.
Yeah, that's right. The big one for them is Trent Waterhouse out playing
yes.
great. So Gavin Cooper goes back from centre to the back row. Always has been a back rower, so I think that won't change. He'll still play right edge.
Yep.
Pritchard will still play left, and obviously Maurice Blair comes into the centres.
Okay, looking at the Sydney Roosters now, a couple of big names not available in Soliola and Shackleton, in Fitzgibbon. When you're going bad, these things go against you.
You need those players to play, and they've struggled around the middle. They've struggled to dominate the rucks. They've struggled to as we saw before with Gidley going through, and they really need to fire up in that middle. Their big names need to aim up, and with Fitzgibbon out, he's one of them.
Well, they were shown up by the Knights. It could get even worse because one combination that's been really effective has been Frank Pritchard and Michael Jennings. This is, remember Mad Max? There was Master Blaster, there was the brains and the brawn. Well, Big Frankie is just the brawn and Michael Jennings is the brains and the brilliance.
They are. They're both in great form. You know, you have Pritchard who can run through you, but also can pass, and you have Jennings' pace. So you double man up on Pritchard and he passes, and there's the overlap for Jennings. Or if you go man on man, well, Pritchard runs over you. It's pretty hard to stop.
How do you make 2 defenders onto one attacker, not disrupt the rest of the line? Is it possible?
It's possible. If you're back set, if you're, I keep talking about control. If you control the ruck, it enables you to get back, get set, get up in their faces, and try to make them make decisions. Not so much passing the ball, but running the football. And if you can get up and make Pritchard make a wrong decision, like they're coming back in, where the defence can pick him up, it can isolate him a little bit. You don't want him going around you because he's so quick, so strong, and he's got that offload.
Opportunity for the Roosters. It may come in the air. Mitchell Pearce and Braithen Astor, widely regarded as 2 of the better kickers of the football. The Panthers have conceded more tries than any other club, courtesy of the kick at 39%.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously it'll be about the Roosters putting the kicks on the right spots. But as you said, 2 good kickers. And last year they scored a lot of tries between Mitchell Pearce and Braithen Astor, little combination. So it'll have to work really well, and that might be something that kickstarts the Roosters and gives them a bit of confidence.
NRL Sunday comes to us from Canberra, where the Raiders play host to the Warriors. 2 desperate sides for Canberra. I know it's only 11 rounds here, but a loss here, Stuart. Is it red felt pen time?
Well, it's getting that way. You know, they came up last night. They tried to play physical, but they just played a bit dumb.
Okay, for the Raiders, Coach David Fernand today was very open and honest in a press release, and he said, "Here's my team. It's not going to look anything like this because we played last night." Alan Tongue in doubt with a thumb injury. Justin Carney in doubt with a sternum injury. They've named Joe Picker back in. Things are bad for the Raiders, worse for Nathan Feen. What a shocking day Nathan Feen had today, and we shouldn't laugh. He's not playing this weekend. He's been dropped from the top squad. And then Ivan Cleary says, before you go out of the office, something else I want to tell you. You're not wanted next year. So life has changed for poor Nathan Feen.
It's a tough life as a footballer. I bet he was on the phone straight to his manager. Help.
And obviously it's 10 weeks into the competition. They've just said, we'll see how you go, This is your chance to prove yourself.
Gives him time.
You know, and Stacey's come back into the picture, but people are now starting to say that the Stacey thing still is a bit of a question mark over if that's going to work.
Now, Joel Monaghan played rep footy last year and has developed a great reputation under the high ball in recent weeks because the side hasn't been going as well. He hasn't been as effective and in the frame for State of Origin. Now, what he does well here, as you guys were able to establish, runs an outside in line when collecting the football.
He does. What he does is he swaps himself and puts himself on the wing, which allows him to sort of sweep off a sideline in. Leads with his right foot, jumps really high and turns in towards a ball. It's sort of like what the AFL players do really well. The difference between this kick and the first kick is the fact that they haven't put it over the try line, so all he has to do is catch and score.
And he's got the height and he's got the ability to get up above that other player. And because you've got that forward momentum, you are in the ascendancy as you're going over the top. You see here when the Storm player goes, he doesn't try to attack the ball, obviously knowing he's outside the try line. But Monaghan, because he's going in the ball, can get over the top. You start putting those kicks right on the try line, he's going to get more meat pies.
That's right. And what it does, it makes the winger isolated. You're standing there going, oh, here comes the ball, I'll be okay. And here comes Monaghan jumping over the top of you. How many times do we see Israel Folau do that?
OK, the Raiders are going to need to get the ball high to Monaghan. They also need to watch for the charge down because Stephen Price, undeniably one of the best exponents of this in the game of footy.
Well, no one does it. No one else does this. In your own 10 metres, you're instructed to put pressure on the kicker, put him off his angle, put him off his kick. The only one who attacks the ball there is Steve Price. You don't want to give 6 to go and get the ball back. He's the only one I know that's got the now to do it.
Yeah. OK, now Sunday's second match. Plenty of appeal from Skills Stadium on the Gold Coast. It's the Titans and the Seagulls who have put back-to-back wins together over the Broncos and the Eels. And for the home side, a host of names, all with big frames coming back.
Yeah, well, obviously Bailey and Rafranchi are big for him, especially, our Origin team's getting picked Monday night. These two will be really excited and really looking forward to playing. Manly have done very well. They've got 2 in a row. They've surprised me a little bit with how good they've actually just turned the corner and jumped straight in the form. 16-0 down against Brisbane. They're all but gone. Yeah. And suddenly something clicked. So it makes for a great game. Can they get 3 in a row or do the Titans, play well at home?
Much of the Sea Eagles' direction has come from Jamie Lyon, who... genuine footballer, playing right side. We say it all the time, it sounds silly, but plays off both feet and does so effectively.
He is a natural. He's got plenty of flair, he's got plenty of speed, and he doesn't have what you would call a natural 5'8" or that he runs off. He creates things himself. He puts the defence on the back foot, under pressure. He's got the ability to beat the man one-on-one, but he's also got the ability, as we just saw, to run out and do the unders ball for Dave Williams to score.
Monday night footy, it's the North Queensland Cowboys and the Newcastle Knights from Townsville. I can't figure out if it's contrasting styles or similar styles with these two footy sides.
It's going to be a great football game. You got, we've just spoken about Isaac de Gois, Kurt Gidley and all that through the middle for Newcastle. Well, when the Cowboys are going great, it's Payne, Thurston, Bowen. It's going to be just a great game of football. Townsville will be pretty warm on a Monday night. It'll be a cracker of a game and it'll set up a good trend for... some rivalry that's going to happen in the Origin.
Now, Scotty Prince opened the door perhaps to a theory a couple of weeks ago against the Newcastle Knights in playing very flat, very shallow and into that ditch area.
And I think what's happened is the ruck's got cleaned up now, so it's not the best wrestling team anymore, so the play the balls aren't 6, 7, 8 seconds anymore. Halfbacks and dummy halves are now able to get over the advantage line at defenders who aren't quite set anymore because the ruck interpretation's changed. So you're identifying front rowers and who are tired and they get isolated. It's hard to defend big blokes or little blokes coming at you.
I'm finding too there's a lot more leg tackling because there's a lot more football. There's a lot more isolation. You're finding there's a guy on the ground, one marker. When the smart hookers, the smart pivots, they can isolate that all the time.
Can you believe it was 4 or 6 weeks ago and people are saying, oh, Jonathan Thurston, not sure on his form. Please, what about the last couple of weeks? And you can see some subtle variations in what he's doing. He did it differently week to week.
He did, yeah. This is a play that we saw in the Test match. Jonathan Thurston runs this sort of line. Runs out, throws a dummy. These defenders here slide off him. In this case, what he does is he looks like he's going to go out and he actually scores straight under the post.
Does play this to a running Matt Bowen. So effectively...
scary.
These 4 defenders, they're in a house of mirrors. They're seeing people everywhere.
And what Thurston's got now is confidence back on his side. That Test match was great for these players. They got back in a really good team, good environment around them, and they just worried about, I'll just share the play and lose a lot of responsibility. He's got his confidence sky high and playing as good as he can.
Hold on, you rest there. You've got a big game Saturday night. It's been quite a pace. On next week's show, we'll sit down with Penrith coach Matty Elliott and talk tactics. We'll talk what's good and what's not so good with the Panthers.
I think the fact that the game's speeded up has diminished the amount of information that players can actually utilise during the game. So your game plans don't change significantly, but they do change subtly to ensure that they compensate for different defence structures and different attack structures. So if you don't equip your players with that sort of stuff, you've got rocks in your head.
Yeah, going good, the boys. It's a really interesting chat. His honesty and also his read on the game is very impressive. Still intrigued by Monday night. Who wins it, the Cowboys and the Knights at Dairy Farmers?
I'm only going to say the Cowboys because it is at Dairy Farmers. It's going to be a great clash. Monday night football, it'll be awesome.
Cowboys, because Thurston's playing brilliantly.
There you go, boys.
Who are you going for?
I'll go the Cowboys. That's us for another night. Thank you very much. We'll be here the whole way through the season. Every Tuesday night, we'll be talking footy on NRL Tactics. Good luck to your team on the weekend.
This has been a Fox Sports production.